let's go ahead and let's get into the rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
All right, it was kind of a weird week. We had a lot of humongous games from wide receivers that went out and just exploded. AJ Green, Julio Jones, Steve Smith, like we talked about. Keenan Allen had a monster game. We also had some injuries. We need to talk about. So the big one, the big scare, and still a significant problem for fantasy owners is Big Ben Roethlisberger went down. Now, there wasn't a flag on the play. That is coming under a lot of scrutiny, because it should have been called, but regardless, you're hurt. So he goes off the field with what a lot of people thought was probably a season-ending injury, gets carted off. What is the latest on Big Ben's knee?
Sprained MCL. The ACL is intact. There is no timetable, though, for his return. From what I'm reading from my doctor friends, they're talking about 6 weeks is the probable return time.
I saw that the bone bruise was actually the bigger concern than the sprain because of how significant that is.
Yeah, and that's, man, what do you do now with your Steelers skill players? I mean, I got Martavis Bryant questions instantly.
I think LaShawn McCoy, or not LaShawn McCoy, Le'Veon Bell goes up.
Yeah.
Or the same.
Le'Veon Bell is the guy I'm the least worried about. The guy I'm the most worried about is Antonio Brown. I'm not worried about him in any kind of he's still going to be great. He's going to be the number one target and get his. But I think he's going to take a dip from these otherworldly numbers he's been putting up. I mean, I think in like the first half, before Big Ben went down, he almost had 100 yards. It was like he was on fire with them.
There's just a rapport you can't repeat.
Exactly. So I think all of those guys, all the wide receivers take a little bit of dip, and you get a little fantasy lull here other than Le'Veon Bell, who I think is going to be great.
And I don't think you can be as excited about Martavis coming back into the fold with Vic. So
is this a guy that you trade for or trade?
Who?
Martavis Bryant. Do you try to get value for him right now and trade him?
I think everybody knows what's going on. So I don't think you're going to get the value that you need. So it's probably a hold situation, because if you go try to trade Martavis right now.
Well, do you trade for him is what I'm saying then.
Oh.
If people are down on his value.
No, I probably don't. Because by the time he's relevant again, 6 weeks of Big Ben from now, you're talking, I don't know
maybe. He could still be relevant. We don't know.
But it's not Antonio Brown coming back either. He has to come back and have big games, and I just don't know. Couple of really annoying guys. Chris Ivory, man, you screwed me, bro.
He screwed a lot of people.
He screwed me as well.
Or do I blame Todd Bowles for not saying, Chris Ivory's just going to be our emergency back today? Because that's what happened. He was off on the sideline with his helmet off as an emergency back. And I guess they just didn't need to lace up anybody else. And
they seemed like they could have used him a lot.
When
that game got close.
Unless he was that hurt.
If you survived, though, you're happy, because now Ivory can come back and hopefully be healthy the rest of the year, or at least healthier, because he's played well when he's healthy. So a big bummer there. I started Eifert and Ivory in my flex and tight end spot, and I faced Jason in one of our leagues, and he had Greg Olsen and Deion Lewis. Yeah. So he outscored me 45-0 in those spots, and I lost. So Vernon Davis out with a knee injury. I don't know how many people were starting him. Shady has a hammy. We know this, or half a hammy. I don't know what's going on. He was basically on the sideline on the bike and saved kind of his fantasy day with one reception for a touchdown. What are we doing with Carlos Williams? Because I have a feeling Carlos could get a ton of work next week.
You're putting Carlos Williams on your bench immediately. He's going to be.
But are you starting him if Shady's out? You're starting.
If Shady's
him.
Yes, 100%. Yes. You start him with all confidence.
10 for 110 and 2 touchdowns, or 1 touchdown.
If Shady's out, you start him over every questionable good guy. In my opinion, you talk about the 4 sets. What do I do with 4 sets and Lamar Miller's? If Shady's out, you put a guy like Carlos Williams in ahead of those guys.
I'm going to mention 2 other guys, then I'm going to put Mike on the spot for a second. Marshawn Lynch went out with a hammy. He almost pulled a Chris Ivory. And then Jonathan Stewart went out for a second. So with those guys, I would expect to see a big Q next to their name for the entirety of the week, because they're both going to miss practice time. I believe Carroll said Lynch's injury did not seem severe. Nothing to be long-term worried about, but you don't like to see it, and the depth chart assassin strikes again.
Well, but I mean, Thomas Rawls, man, he looked okay.
Yeah,
he looked okay.
He's definitely the long-term plan there.
Yeah, I was going. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching the game. It's like, well, they might have found Marshawn Lynch Part 2, and they'll let him go.
So do you sign Rawls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the Lynch owner.
If Lynch is out, who would you rather start? Rawls or
Rawls is the guy.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I signed Fred Jackson, I'm sad to say it. And we're going to have Fred Jacks on the show.
Yeah, we haven't announced that yet. Fred Jackson coming on.
Way to go, Jason.
On the 13th, probably.
Jason's he's a breaking news
kind of guy.
He's like, oh, I got news. I'm going to tell everybody about the news.
Hey, everybody. Fred Jackson's coming on.
How about we talk about tomorrow? Who's coming on the show tomorrow?
I think he's a Hall of Fame
Famer.
Running back.
Marshall Faulk.
I've seen better.
Good. I'll tell him that when I talk to him tomorrow.
I won some leagues back in the day with Marshall Faulk.
There were a few players more versatile than Marshall Faulk.
Marshall Faulk was
100 reception guy, amazing. So we'll have him on the show tomorrow. We'll be talking, kind of get his ideas on some teams and players that are standing out to him, and talk about some fantasy as well. Mike, before we move on here to the Stud Muffins of the Week, I want to talk to you about two guys that are hurting you right now. And on the show live last week, you traded for C.J. Anderson. And you have a tattoo on your chest, or it's been rumored, of Jeremy Hill. So
I do.
What are your concerns? I mean, what are your thoughts right now? Are you reeling?
It is. It's pretty brutal right now. There's no denying that fact. So I'll go one at a time. With Anderson, the why Anderson was so attractive to start was because he was on an offense with Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning has had elite offenses in the past. The Denver Broncos offense right now, they're fine. They're not anything remotely close to an elite option right now. And because defenses aren't worried about that, then C.J. Anderson is just, he can't be that guy. And on top of that, he put the concussion, the almost concussion.
He got crushed. I wonder if that was just a stinger, though, or something.
Yeah, it had to have been, because he came back in. He got cleared by doctors of some kind. And with Jeremy Hill, oh man, less concerned, just because when you break down their percentages, Cincinnati is still a running team. Gio's out snapping the crap out of Jeremy Hill right now.
Here's the thing: they're winning. That's the problem, right?
They're winning, but the market always corrects itself, and Andy Dalton accounted for 4 touchdowns yesterday, and they're still a running team. Almost all of their touchdowns have been through the air, and I think the rushing touchdowns are still to come. I'm not selling Jeremy Hill yet, because what can you even get for him? But I still have faith that he can get it going.
Well, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I agree with you. But I also want this to be a reminder to people when we're in the offseason next year and we're talking about guys that had a good year. This is why we said everyone expects the repeat. 5 point something a carry from Jeremy Hill and a monster season. And it's kind of hard to do that over and over again. And there's a reason why in our projections, even this group here who likes Jeremy Hill, we didn't put him at those same numbers, because it's just, like you said, market correction goes to running backs not doing the same thing every year too.
Yeah, but man, running backs have just been brutal.
They've been very. And if you don't have AP right now,
yeah. Well, and Charles has been,
and obviously Joseph Randall.
There have been a lot, Lamar Miller, a lot of guys that have burned you this week.